Okay, so today we're going to learn how to use Excel a little bit better. And in this video, I'm going to basically show you how to make box plots and histograms and kind of how to use Excel to answer questions the way you want it to. So the first thing that I want you to see is that I got some data sets here, and this is the Metacritic score of original movies versus their sequels, like Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2. There's their original and there's their sequel. It's like Spider-Man 1 and 2. So we can see we have all these different data points, and we might ask the question, on average, which is better? Well, you can do this a couple different ways. You can actually find the average, and as you can see right here, I'm typing in this bottom 14. Anytime you want to do any math in Excel, you always have to start it with equals. And then we're just going to start typing average. Now you can see Excel, already realizing that I'm looking for something, will start giving you like different commands. But we're going to do just the plain average. And then, whoops, I like it to be in the cell that I want it to. So then you just hit parentheses. Just drag and drop, and that's the average for this one. Now the nice part of Excel is I don't have to redo that for that box. I can actually just hold this corner and just drag over, and it should, yep, it went from C2 to C13, do it automatically. So we can see that the average is really, really close. Let's say you wanted to figure out the median. So again, you could do median. You could say equals median. Grab all those data points. Equals median. We can see that this set is probably pretty symmetrical because the median and the mean are almost exactly the same. For that, I guess if I wasn't a little bit smarter, I could have just dragged it over, and we can see on this one that hey, the median's actually kind of higher here. So there, you could have some discussion, which is better. You could do the same thing. It has the same thing for quartile. So if you want to do quartile, you can just say equals quartile. And this command takes a little bit longer to do. You hold it down for all of those. After that, you hit comma, and then you tell it which quartile you want. So 0, as you can see, is minimum value. First, second, third, and fourth. So you could just say 1 for first quartile. Just drag this over. If you really want to save time, instead of doing that whole thing again, you could just copy what was in this cell and hit paste, and then change that to 2, and there's our median, and change that to, oh, whoops-a-daisy. Sometimes when you copy and paste things, it will think it knows you a little bit better than it does, and it will want to move the cells down. So that should be our median, and then again copy and paste, and again it wanted to move the cells down, so there's my third quartile. So you can do these things pretty easily and get a 5-number summary pretty easily. Drag that over, done, drag that over, done. So we got kind of our 5-number summary. So if you wanted to do it, like, you could use this to, by hand, make a box plot. The nice part is Excel can do box plots also. So we're just going to highlight our data. We're going to do insert, and we're going to click recommended charts. And then we're going to click on all charts, and you can see down here is something called box and whisker. I'm going to do that one more time. We're going to say insert. So you click on insert, you click on recommended charts, then you just switch to all charts, and then you hit whisker, and then hit OK. And now we can see our data. I think blue is original, yep, and orange is sequel. And as you can see, the sequels are a little bit more spread out, but generally the sequels look like they do better than the originals. We can kind of see that, like, it's definitely more clustered and then a little bit more spread out, and this is a little bit more symmetrical. But basically from this box plot, it looks like the end point, the worst sequel and the best sequel are better than the worst. Oh, whoops, I read this upside down. It looks like this is has a little bit more variation, and it means that you can see more sequels, or 50% of the sequels are above where 50% of the originals are. The originals are a little bit, their lowest is better than the low of that one, and their highest is better than the high, but they're kind of a little bit more spread out here. So it looks like from this distribution that it's a really close argument. Like, you could probably go either way, but generally those box plots aren't too far off of each other. So you can kind of use that to make either argument on which is better. If you wanted histograms for these things, because you just are a little bit more curious on what these look like, Excel can only do histograms for singular charts. So there's our histograms. There's the histogram with the ogive, as you can see, like the 100%. The only thing I don't like about the histograms in Excel is they don't do a good job of giving you, they do very large bin sizes, and they don't do a lot of these. So a lot of times what you have to do is right click on your axis and click Format Axis, and then you can change the number of bins. So instead of having 3, a lot of times I like to have, like, let's say 5. And then you can see that it starts to give you a better idea. Let's do 10 just to kind of, maybe 6. You can start playing around with this to try to make some decisions on what this should really look like, or what your data should really look like. You can, the automatic one, it does an okay job, but a lot of times I don't think it creates the correct size. You can also change, like, how wide you want these. So this is probably a better way of going about it. Instead of being like, it goes all the way from 48 to 69, let's go 10. So we can now see, we get a little bit better idea. For the originals, they're a little bit focused in the beginning. It looks like the most popular range is about this 58 to 68 score, and then it kind of goes down a little bit and goes back up. We can do the same thing with the sequels. So let's say Insert, All Charts, Histograms, and you can see on this one it only has 2, that's really, it doesn't give us a good idea. So again, what I would generally do is right click on that, format your major axis. Instead of making this go from 24, let's make this go from 10 again. And again, you can kind of compare. It looks like this one, again, is what we saw from the box plots. It has its highest scores between that B range, where this one has its most scores in that C range. But again, its highest is higher than this one's highest, and its low is not quite as low as this low. So generally with sequels, the movies on average are probably a little bit better, but you do have a chance of seeing a really bad movie. And on the originals, you have a chance of seeing a really good movie, but the general quality is probably a little bit lower on average than the sequel. So again, you use this information however you want to format your arguments. If you get stuck with anything, let me know.